posted in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Mr. Boyd, would you lead us in prayer, please?
If we bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, Father God, we come once again, oh God, thank you, Father God, for another day, another moment in time, oh God, to say thank you, Lord. Father God, we thank you, Father God, for all that have come together, oh God, to be a part of this meeting, oh God. Father, we ask, Lord God, that you continue to watch over Lamisa. Father God, we ask, Lord God, that you continue to watch over our students and staff, oh God. And Father God, we just thank you, Father God, for this time, oh God. And we ask, oh God, that you continue to lead and guide us, Father God, in the way that we should go, Heavenly Father. Father God, we pray this prayer, every prayer in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I don't think so.
Do we need
No,
to
we don't.
Perfect. You ready? Mr. Carrera, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce our sponsors and kids.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Gonzalez, Superintendent Ritchie, and members of the school board. Thank you for allowing Lamisa High School teachers to introduce some of their students from the CTE organizations. We'll start with Mr. Pedroza, followed by Ms. Martinez, Mr. Ruiz, Ms. Telchik, Mr. Hogg, Ms. Napper, Ms. Rocha, and I will be stepping in for Ms. Mayfield, who could not be here today. So we'll let Mr. Pedroza start us off.
Good evening, school board. Superintendent Ritchie, Dr. Nelson, Mr. McBee. My name is Kevin Pedroza. I'm the FCCLA advisor and barbecue advisor here at this high school. A couple of students we'd like to recognize today. We'll start on the end. Allie Rivas. She's an FCCLA member and a barbecue. She's a pit master for one of our teams that is state bound in the beginning of May. She competed in Ministry Basket and FCSA for FCCLA, and she was a state participant in FCSA at state. Marina Plaza, FCCLA, she's also our vice president. She was a Serving Up Success at Region and FCSA, and she was an FCSA state participant. Isabel Guzman, she's FCCLA. She did job interview, state participant. She qualified for state, which was last week. In job interview, Leah Natividad, who is FCCLA, and she was Serving Up Success and FCSA, and she was a state participant. She state qualified for FCCLA. Austin Casares here, barbecue. We competed 3 weeks ago here in Lamisa, and his all freshman team is now state qualified for barbecue, which is the first week of May. Lucas Costa, Serving Up Success, FCCLA, also barbecue. He was a state participant and Serving Up Success for FCCLA, and he's also qualified on one of the qualifying teams for barbecue. Esteban Acosta, FCCLA and barbecue, region participant, state qualified for barbecue also. And this is just a few of our students that we have. We have roughly 17 kids going to barbecue for state barbecue first weekend of May. And we had 6 kids compete at regional FCCLA and 6 kids advanced to state and FCCLA that competed last week. So this is just a small group of our kids. Yeah.
Proud of you guys. Thank you. If everybody would just hang on until we introduce all the groups, we'll get a big picture of all the kids up here at the same time together. All right, Ms. Martinez.
Hello, everybody. Good evening, Board President Ms. Rebecca Gonzalez, Superintendent Ritchie, and the rest of the board members. My name is Mrs. Martinez, and I do the Skills USA organization for the law enforcement part of CTE. Tonight I'm going to be representing my students. Let's see if any state qualifiers that are here. Y'all can come on up. Put that down. Okay. Okay, I'm going to start at that end and try to make it this way. So I'm going to start with Zaraya Contreras. She was a state qualifier in the Criminal Justice Knowledge Quiz Bowl. And then I also have Amaris Rendon. She was also state qualifier for the Criminal Justice Knowledge Quiz Bowl. And then I have Ms. Paola Rodriguez. She was a state qualifier for a felony traffic stop. And then I have Ms. Yara Rojas, our wonderful foreign exchange student, and she was a state qualifier for the Criminal Justice Quiz Bowl. And then I have Ms. Jaden Barrera, who is also our president for Skills USA, and she was our state qualifier for Criminal Justice Quiz Bowl. And then I have Mr. Christopher De Hoyos, and he was the state qualifier for Building Search. Then I have, Giselle was in a lot of things. This is Ms. Giselle Ramirez, and she was a state qualifier for Criminal Justice Quiz Bowl, and she also participated in police application and Building Search, and state qualifier for Building Search. Then I have Anastasia Contreras. She was also a state qualifier for the Criminal Justice Quiz Bowl. And last but not least, Ms. Joanna Estrada Hernandez, and she was a state qualifier for the Criminal Justice Quiz Bowl. We had a total of 44 state qualifiers in all the departments that included the medical, construction, cosmetology, and then law enforcement. So there was a total of 44. So this is just my department. I would like to read the names. There's a few more that couldn't make it tonight, but they were also state qualifiers. And that was, let's see here, Hannah Franklin, Jake Gonzalez, Shakira Harbor, Ivory Hawkins, Ariela Vidaude, and Diego Vidaude. They were also state qualifiers. So this is them. Great job,
guys.
I'm also going to be up here reading for Mr. Reese. He couldn't be here tonight. So if I can ask Mr. Reese's students to come on up. Okay. Mr. Reese has the medical, CNA, and phlebotomy medical classes, and they participated in skills for the medical part in the CTE programs. And we have Mia Carrejo, that was a state qualifier, and Kaden Vela, that was a state qualifier, and Ms. Marisa Martinez as a state qualifier. I'm going to read the names also, some people that were not here but did make it for state, and that was Haiti Barrera, Savannah Moreno, Jackie Cavazos, Eric Morales, Araceli Dominguez, and James Morales. And I would like to add that some of these kiddos, they actually placed at state. Savannah and Jackie placed first at district, but at state, it was Jackie, Haiti, and Mia, which they placed at third and got a bronze medal at state in the career pathway helper at the health science department. So great job, guys.
I'm Lisa Telchik, and we did BPA, and we had a phenomenal year, so BPA students, come forward. Okay, we qualified 22 for state this year, so I'll just kind of go in order. We'll start with Rita, and she did health presentation. Health research presentation. Braid, I'll save you for later. Liz did presentation individual. Then we had Jordan Rocheski, who did economic, and singing I'll save you for later also. Esteban, Esteban, yeah, you're all right here. Esteban, and then Mia and Kenzie and Celeste did global marketing. And then we had Gennaro. Is your team here? Just ourselves? No, nobody else. Gennaro did too. He did an individual and a team. He did video production, and then he also did digital media production. And then Araceli did graphic design promotion. Anastasia did legal office procedures. And then Aaron, who he didn't qualify for state, but he did human resource at regionals. One thing this year that was really neat, we held regionals for the first time since the year 2000 in our beautiful CTE building. And we had over 250 kids there, which was wonderful. And we hope to do that again next year. The last one. So we'll start with Sagan. Sagan was very good this year. She did advanced interview and she placed 10th in state. And one thing when it gets to state, we have prelims and finals, so it's really tough to make finals. So she did phenomenal. Then we had Braid Barton. Braid has been very special. For the past 3 years, she has made state, and she made finals. She placed 7th this year. Next year, she's going to be a senior, so we're going to get her to nationals. And then we have Sheffy, step up. Sheffy also did presentation individual, but she is also our current regional president, and she was elected this year. And then Jaden is our outgoing regional president, and she did prepared speech this year. And both of these ladies will represent us in Texas in a couple of weeks in Chicago at the national convention. And Jaden also received a BPA scholarship at state this year. So she has done phenomenal.
Great job,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
President Gonzalez, Superintendent Ritchie, and school board. That's a tough act to follow. The one kid I had sign up for skills withdrew, moved to schools, so I was going to talk about certifications and the kids that I certified this year. Of those kids I wanted to highlight, they couldn't make it. But one of them is actually here, Giovanni. I'm proud to say out of 85 students, I'm going to be handing out roughly 50 certifications. That's awesome.
Wow.
So next year we'll get in this year.
The most he had done before that was 13 guys. That's awesome.
That
Thank
is
you.
a great
But,
one.
we will get into skills next year for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's an apple.
Only have 4 here for cosmetology. This was our second year to participate in skills in cosmetology. The rest of my students are working. They have to go to work after school. We did well. Riley received a silver medal, second place at district and advanced to state. I had 2, Zeta Nava, she received a gold medal. And they were my first 2 students to ever receive a medal, so that was a really good one. Leah and Isabel participated in the updo evening wear, and they got a second place at district, it's at this state, and they did well. They're just Cosmo 1, so we got next year. Lizabelle received I made her ring a ribbon, a superior at state. She advanced from district, and her and Emily Capetillo won first place with their superior ribbon in salon design. They were done well, and we'll do it again next year. Oh, Gino and I had 2 boys who done classic men cuts, and they received red ribbons at district, advanced to state, and they were so excited the first school trip they've ever been on. So they were so proud. I love to tell that story, and they were really proud of themselves, and they did well.
Great job, y'all. Great job.
School Board, Ms. Gonzalez, Mr. Ritchie. For those of you who don't know me, I am Matt Roach. I'm the construction trades teacher at the high school. I also am the advisor for building trades for Skills USA. These are just a few of the boys that qualified for state. This was my first year taking contestants to Skills. Let's see, who do we got on the end of there? Giovanni participated in carpentry at district competition and came in, I believe, 4th or 5th. Which one of y'all was 4th? One was 4th, one was 5th. I'm sorry, they both qualified for state. And they went on to state competition and competed down there. Then we have Sergio right here. He participated in cabinet making, brought home a bronze medal, 3rd place at district competition, and qualified for state. We have Mr. Aaron Tang right here. He participated in tool ID? Construction tool ID. He placed, you were 8th or you were 10th? 10th. He placed 10th, and top 10 got to qualify for state, so he just snuck in there for state competition. And then right here we have Mr. Joe Gonzalez. He participated in carpentry as well, and I believe he was 4th place at district, qualified for state. I took 8 to district competition, and 7 qualified for state competition. Not here right now, Crystal Cardona, she's a senior. She placed 4th in cabinet making. Just barely missed a medal right there. And then we have Julian Garcia, freshman, also in construction tool ID. He took 8th place in his competition. Who else are we missing? Isaac Trejo. He also received a medal at district competition. He had 2nd place in electrical construction wiring and qualified for state as well. So we brought home some medals. We didn't bring any home from state, but next year everybody's ready to do it again.
Awesome.
Good evening. Once again, Madam President, Superintendent Ritchie, and members of the school board. I'd like to introduce to you the FFA students who competed in fall and spring competition. I will present those students in the place that place in the top 6. If I could have you to come up here. I'm going to start out with the fall competition. We had Jordan Rocheski, placed 3rd at district in junior creed speaking. I had Sagan Oaks, who placed 4th at district in senior creed speaking and 1st in senior prepared speaking and natural resources, and will advance to area contest that will be held next month. For spring competition, cotton judging, team members are Anastasia Contreras, Emily Jimenez, Sagan Oaks, and Jordan Rocheski. They competed at the following cotton judging. I will give overall team placement and individuals who placed in the top 6. So they competed first in West Texas A&M. They received 7th place overall, and Sagan Oaks got a 2nd place. In Canyon, 4th overall placed, and Sagan Oaks got 2nd place. In Clarendon, 4th overall, Sagan Oaks received 1st place. Sweetwater, 2nd overall, Jordan Rocheski got 3rd place, and Emily Jimenez got 6th place. At Water Valley, 1st overall, and Sagan Oaks received a 1st place. In San Angelo, 7th overall, and Sagan Oaks received a 3rd place. They will compete in state contests this Saturday at 8 a.m. in Lubbock, Texas at Texas Tech.
Awesome.
And right before coming to here, I received news that Sagan Oaks competed at Big Spring and qualified to compete at state for the $20,000 scholarship at Stephen.
Go get it.
Thank you for the support, for all that y'all do for our kids at CTE. I'm glad they've allowed me to be part of their team, and so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this is going to be a very crowded picture, but if you are a student that was just announced, I want y'all to come into this general area. Board members, y'all are going to get in with them. And I just need some people to volunteer to get on the ground, to get on knees, because we got about 35 seconds to get this done. Guys, if things like that don't make you proud of the Mr. Kids, then you just ain't paying attention, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. Right. Back to business.
All right, we'll go to the consent agenda item?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. You're up. Oh, no, I don't like that. That's the problem.
Boy, that's crazy. I'm not good at
Ms.
technology.
Gonzalez, who's second?
I sat here last time
Kevin,
like that.
what was Kevin? Oh, Ron?
Just locked my
Who
screen.
seconded?
I did. Oh,
Okay.
no, I made a
Kevin.
motion.
Yeah, motion and Kevin seconded.
Right, thank you.
Oh, is that right? Kevin.
Okay, that is TASB's. This is a product offered by TASB. It is a purchasing fuel at a fixed rate. It's a fuel pooling process, and we signed an agreement with them. It's estimated that we can save about $10,000 a year. I'm not sure how that stands with fluctuation of prices, but it will save us some money if we go to the pool. There's about 50 school districts in Texas that go through TASB. TASB's strong. They've been around for a long time. They've been doing this particular program for about 12 years. I highlighted a few items, I underlined a few items on the front and the back of the page for you to take a look at. But just wanted to inform you, and it's a good program, and we hopefully will notice some savings pretty well. Most of it's on diesel. Gas is not a big saving, but most of our savings is going to be on our diesel fuel.
What price did we lock in?
We haven't locked it in.
They wait until everybody's in,
Gotcha.
because the more people, the lower the lock.
When is
And
the
then
deadline on that?
the deadline to get in was April 18th, which was today. So I'm betting we know pretty soon what the lock rate is.
All right.
Thank you.
Let me grab it.
I think they want to like get in like January or.
That's what we were talking about, the different times of year that it's kind of,
Maybe September after Labor Day.
that's what we were talking about earlier.
I've done that with propane before, and that was one of the concerns that we had was there are peak times when you get in, when you lock your rating. And I asked them about the concern, and they trend it, and they show what prices are and what we pay, and so they work on making sure that we lock in at a good. We don't lock in at a high price. We lock in at a good price. So. Okay, the general fund by function board report for the month of March. One of the things I noted was that our average budget is $1.6 million a year. This particular month is 1.4. So our percentage is high of total expenses. Our ratio is at 62%, but given that we're operating under budget, we will see a decline just through operating less. We'll see a decline in our ratio or percentage as time goes by for the next couple of months. If that number continues down, so will the percentage. Second page, revenue year to date. The only thing to really note there is the revenue for local revenue or tax collections and other related income. We're at 105%, so we're ahead of the game, and we're 7 months into it. So hopefully, most of our property taxes are collected, but hopefully we'll move into we've got 5 months left to increase that number. So we're at a good place for the local revenue. Next slide, the next report is the monthly capital outlay. There's one item on there, and it's for the film, and it's not a 199 fund, it's a grant. It's a 429 safety fund. Dr. Nelson was part of.
He's going to talk a little bit about that in a little bit.
The next report is the monthly check registry of the month of March. There are three of us that go through this, at least three of us that go through this to check things and see what might be unusual or what we might need to check into ourselves. And so I'll just open it up to you guys if you have any questions. I just want to qualify with it. We look at it pretty close, but it's open for questions.
Some things I did one point, I've got them up on that board right there. You know, I've been tracking that kind of month to month, and this was a really good month, and that's pretty self-explanatory. But we were down in everything. Our water kind of just holds steady year to year. But the things that we can control, which I think is really the point, the things that we can control, we're reducing costs in all of them. The overall check registry from April 23 was $852,988, whereas this time it was $498,791. That's a huge chunk of difference. So I mean, we still got a long ways to go, but there's progress going on.
Yeah, the key is how we monitor it and watch it and control it. That's it for the investment report. There are no budget amendments. There are no purchases over $50,000. And I can move on to C, or should we take action?
Do you have any questions?
The only question I had was that supplies and repairs invoice for $17,226.78.
Yes. Ron talked about us doing more inventorying so that we check items in and out. And that's a part of it. That's one vendor, and we did quite a bit of work. There were quite a bit of repairs at the high school. If you look at the notes, you can see the volume of invoices. And we're really trying to get to a point. Talk to Ray about it. We're trying to get to a point where they have either stock in the shop and they plan their day before they go out with supplies, and also carry particular items on the truck that they would use on a regular basis to save the trips back and forth to Higginbotham. So we're just trying to get it to a point where those items are in stock. And of course, we're getting close to the time where they're going to be really busy doing things, stocking it with the summer coming on. So,
do y'all have a vendor that y'all depend on for like buying supplies and stuff? That instead of just going to Higginbotham, do y'all have a vendor that y'all buy off of also? Or?
We do have an outside vendor, and in the Higginbotham, it's like he's saying, these are things that either didn't get ordered, ran out before they could get ordered. But yeah, like our maintenance, our custodian, we hardly buy any of. We buy all of that in bulk in the summer is when most of that comes in. And like this is just some things that we either didn't order or we ran out. So we're trying to like he said, do a better job of making sure we have this stuff in one bulk and don't have to do these little trips to the local places.
And this vendor is Kane also. In fact, I talked to him today a little bit about that, the trips. To gather up for 30 minutes in the morning and talk about what they're going to do is 30 minutes. If you've got three guys that have to run and pick up parts and it takes them 15 minutes, now you're into 45 minutes instead of 30 minutes. So the planning, they're trying to get to a point where they're planning better so that they'll be more efficient and not have to stop and go or run and pick up parts. It's never cost effective when you're doing a job and you stop the job and you go grab a part.
And it's no different than anything in all of our departments. We kind of, and they were the most recent one, we've kind of mandated mandatory meetings, and we make them now meet for an hour on Friday. When one of us can go, we do. We can always get there, but it's all of the departments from the electric to the plumbing to the general construction, and they're talking about the week and 2 weeks ahead. What's coming? What do we need? What do we got? Instead of just every man for himself. Just trying to be more efficient with the time and our money, if that makes sense.
Good.
That's all I've got.
Thank you. Next item, I'm sorry. You want to take action, Rebecca?
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Senator Busy.
The next item is the school finance consultant. Maureen wasn't able to make it tonight, so I'll go ahead and present the information and we'll move on to the next item. This is for the Mesquite Creek Wind Project. It's something that we look at annually. They do the calculation for us and let us know what type of credit or what we're going to receive. And all we have to do is notify the Chief Appraiser's Office with a letter signed by Richie, and we're good to go. So,
This is a yearly thing
yes,
that we do.
and there's really no action taken needed, I don't think. And the next item, item D, the discussion on student accident insurance. We use a company called HRS. We picked them up last year for the first time. And the reason why we didn't, we were able to save quite a bit of money. And they, the gentleman that does most of the work on this is Jordan, our trainer. And he has recommended that we renew it with him, and of course we will. He likes the process. It's worked very well for him. The price was guaranteed this year to be the same as it was last year, so they didn't go up on the price. So, from everything that I see, it takes away from the interaction with parent and the school, and puts the interaction between the parent and the insurance provider, which is always good. That's the way that it should be. And most of it, like I said, most of that is done online. So this is just information also because of the cost. So, so we're going to renew it. That's it.
Any questions for Mr. McBee?
Thank you.
So we have a kind of a special thing tonight. They did this presentation for the rest of the admin team, and I thought as I was listening, this is something that you guys would really enjoy hearing because it's very academic focused and it's based on the elementary. At the forum last night, you talked about, reading and literacy being the foundation. That kind of ties to this. So I just asked them to kind of do it for you guys, and it'll be Coach Tipton and Ms. Griffin. You can hijack. Yes, ma'am.
It says it's in use.
It says what?
It says it's in use. You've got to kick yourself out.
I'm working on it. All yours.
Okay, so I'll just kind of introduce the activity. What this was a look at our elementary grades, how we assess them in pre-K, kinder, first, second. And then the second part of the activity was looking at last year's fourth graders, this year's fifth graders, and looking at over time what that data told us about our ability to prepare them for the next grade. So we'll start with Mr. Tipton. He'll share exactly how we assess our students, what our current data shows us, and then I'll talk to you about what that looks like looking with the students that are already there and kind of the tracking. We actually have 65 of those that started with us in pre-K currently still with us in fifth grade. So we'll just talk a little bit about that data.
All right. And before I get started, one thing I wanted to say that I think is important, and Mr. Ritchie, you can agree with this or disagree. I thought it was very important that if you see what we're doing when we're meeting together in our meetings, we're meeting weekly, we're working together, and we're doing a lot of, you're seeing the vertical alignment happening with our teachers. You're also seeing it with our principals, where we're collaborating to make sure things are transferring from South Elementary to North Elementary to middle school to high school, and it's a team effort. So this is all, me and Ms. Griffin worked on this a lot together, and I think that's an important thing to know that we are working together on things, and it's a good team effort. So that's a good thing to have. Everybody pulling in the same direction. So what I'm going to talk about is we were kind of tasked with looking at kindergarten readiness for our we have a pre-K program, and I think that having a pre-K program is very important, and it's something that not everybody has. It's an opportunity for us to utilize something to be better, starting our kids out at a young age. So what we were tasked with was to kind of look at our pre-K and look at what we were doing and see how many of our kids are kindergarten ready by the end of pre-K. How many of those kids are going to be ready to go into pre-K, and we could say they're 100% kindergarten ready. Well, obviously we're not there. But what that sparked is it sparked a discussion to where that's what we're wanting to do. That's going to be a campus goal of mine next year in South, and I've already started to implement some stuff and look at some different things to maybe change for next year to where we're being stronger in our pre-K program. So we have, our goal, of course, is going to be 100%. It's a big goal. It's a lofty goal, but I think it's something that it's worth trying to achieve. So I'll kind of give you a background on what the data and what we looked at. CLI Engage, that might be foreign to you. That's just basically a housing system that holds all the grades that we have. That's where we put our test information in, and we can go in and pull our data. So this is where this data is pulled. We look at 3 different areas. It is also what we report to the state. These are the 3 main areas, and there's a lot of subcategories that you'll see here in a little bit. And it's hard to see on this page, but what I've done is I've broke it down in a way that'll make more sense, so you can kind of see it on the 4th slide. But the 3 areas that we collect data for in pre-K, and we use what's called the Circle exam, is going to be vocabulary, phonological awareness, and math. So those are our 3 areas that we check and look to see if our kindergartners, or pre-K kids, are kindergarten ready. So if you look here, this is the beginning of the year, September 23, and like I said, this is very hard to see. We have our rapid vocabulary, phonological awareness, and our math, and then we have all our different subcategories of that. And I'll be happy to share this with you if you want to see it. On-track students at the beginning of the year, once again, these are pre-K students. This is the Circle exam. This is what they took. We're looking at 34% rapid letter naming, phonological awareness, syllabication, onset rhyming. You're looking at 4, 7, 0, 3%, 37%. You get on down here to math, we're looking at 3, 43%, 46%. So we have a high support area of our kids beginning in September. The next thing we did is we went to the middle of the year, and looking at our middle of the year data, you have the same chart which she was showing, but this is a little bit easier way to see it because it breaks it down. And what we did is we took our strengths. So we want to take our top 4 areas that we were really strong in, and we wanted to take our weakness areas and figure out why are we weak here, what can we do, and those are our target areas, where can we bring our kids up. So in RLA, which is our top set right here, rapid letter naming, Wave 1, which is our beginning of the year test, we were at 34%. Wave 2, which is our middle of the year testing, we went to 78%, so we had a 44% increase. So you do see some really good gains from middle of the year, or from beginning of the year to middle of the year, and pretty soon we'll have our end of the year data that we'll be able to compare to this, which is going to be, I'm anxious to see how that looks. One thing I'll point out on this is, yes, we do have some areas that we need to improve on. Alliteration, we were at 0%. Wave 2, we were at 9%. That's an area where we need to focus on. But one thing I will point out that's important to look at is we did not drop anywhere. We had growth in every area. RLA, rapid letter naming, you're at 44%. Vocabulary, 30%. Syllabication, 31%. Every single area grew from beginning of the year to middle of the year. Some a lot more than others, but I think that's a positive thing. And it gives us an idea of where to build.
And
So
this is pre-K.
this is pre-K, yes. Okay, so this is just kind of a pre-kindergarten readiness slide, and it kind of shows you, we have our pre-K kids who fall right here in this area, this age group. Some of the things they're tested on, they're not developmentally ready for that. So it's not a bad thing that we're not 100% there. It just shows that some kids just aren't ready for that yet. If that makes sense.
And how are these tests that you're doing, how are they How do you do that?
They,
Like, just,
the CLI, and I'll let y'all kind of talk about it, they're very strict about exactly how to do it.
okay.
Like, it's hard to mess up, but it's a verbal test. Like, these kids aren't put in a room
So
with
we're
paper.
one-on-one,
Yes, it
and
is
it's a-
one-on-one
100%
testing their
one-on-one.
skills.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yep. But this to me, I thought, well, it puts my heart at ease a little bit because I do know that there's some things that we're low in that are really not developmentally ready for until kindergarten or even later on in kindergarten. So, but that chart will kind of give you an idea of pre-kindergarten readiness. This is the one I really wanted to talk on. This is going to be our kindergarten readiness. This is the exam that the kids take in kindergarten. We see where they're at. And this, when I first looked at it, really jumped out at me because it bugged me. It scared me a little bit. But it made a little more sense once I went through and looked at it. 2021, we had 118 enrolled. We assessed 93 of those students. That was 78.8% of the students. We had 74 kindergarten ready, which was at a 79.6% showing kindergarten ready, which was good. 21-22, we dropped to 83%, 82.7%. So we did have a drop there. 22-23 is going to stick out to you. And it stuck out to me because I saw that 55.1%. And I thought, well, what happened? And that's probably what everybody that sees the chart thinks, well, what happened? Well, they changed the game on us. They have a new methodology that they came out with that they were scoring. So if you'll look at the next slide, and if you want to chime in on any of this, Christy, you go ahead.
Yeah, Christy, you've gotten the easy job so far.
So far.
Yeah. So basically what this is going to show you is we did drop. We dropped 7.4% from the previous school year in 22-23, but we were comparing apples to oranges. Is the way I describe it is kind of being a coach. The other 2 years, we're playing a basketball game. Quarters are 10 minutes long. You got a 3-point line, and every time you get fouled, you're going to the line to shoot a free throw. With the new methodology, it shows we're at 55, which we're really not. We're at 75%. But when we look at it here, we played the same game with the same teams and the same people, only we shortened the quarters to 5 minutes instead of 10. We took away the 3-point line and you don't shoot free throws. And then you're going to go compare year one, and your scores are going to be higher because you have a 3-point line. You have free throws being shot. You have a longer time period to play the game. Does that make sense? So what I'm saying is they changed the methodology on us, which doesn't really matter. This is where we're at with the new methodology, and this is where we've got to grow from. So that being said, that is our starting point of what we're going to look at to try to make our kindergarten kids ready in pre-K. And it's really started good conversations with us. It's great data, and it was a great thing for us to look at because it was real eye-opening for us.
When you say they changed it, what do you mean by that? Like they make it harder to reach goals, or what?
I don't specifically know what they changed. They just told us they changed the methodology, and they put that in there because everybody's showing lower, and there's a huge drop. Well, as soon as you see something like that, you automatically think we went from 80% down to 55. Well, really, we weren't at 55. We were at 76.
So we're going like on this track that they're switched it up. So we're showing
Now,
progress, but over here with them.
but it does open your eyes that, hey, if they're going to change the methodology, we got to catch up.
Yeah.
We got to figure out the new game.
How do you stay on top of that? Is that just impossible?
It's a lot like the star stuff I talked about earlier in the year, how they moved the goalposts.
Yes.
And exactly.
I'll be honest with you, they saw too much success, and so they changed it to make sure everybody dropped down a little bit. And now we just got to figure out, okay, so now how do we be successful at this? And we'll start to grow, and eventually
So we're not
change it
at
again.
50. We're actually at this.
We are at the 55,
Okay, 55.
under the new scoring system.
But if you translate that to the
But if
upper,
you translate that
yes.
to where we
But if
were
they
at.
scored it the same way they did the years prior, we would be at about a 76.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So sooner or later, we'll catch up, and then we'll change it on us again.
And this is a point of emphasis for me.
Might explain some of
Yes.
that too.
Yeah, and then she's going to talk more about the pre-K through fourth, but this opened my eyes, and the conversations we had opened my eyes to where we've got an excellent opportunity in our pre-K program. We've got a TA in every classroom with every teacher. We've got an opportunity to really change what happens in there and really go forward. and make sure our kids are 100% pre-K ready. I mean, kindergarten ready by the time they're done with pre-K. Is it going to be hard? It is, but it gives us something to work for, and I think it's going to be a goal of our school. I can tell you that.
Yeah, can I ask you a question? It's kind of a little different, but I'm
Sure.
curious because now that everything, we're teaching one thing and then they switch it, now we have to realize with these babies, pre-K, let's just say we have one that's disrupting the class and there's 3 of them in one class. How do we navigate that to where it's less disruption? What is the process for the kid that is, like, do they go outside? How long do they come back into class for the instruction?
That is a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
And it's probably the hardest thing we deal with at South Elementary is
just a little.
Yes, and it's just it depends. You know, it's a difference between whether the kid is special education, whether the kid is regular education. It all plays different factors.
Well, and like Tipton probably has some good relationships. Bauman was there. I remember the year I was there. There were some kids that I could go in and sit with, and he's one of my favorite kids today. He's in 2nd grade, and he'd calm down immediately. But there were some kids I would walk in and I would set them off, so I would leave and somebody else could come. You know, those pre-K kids,
it's hard.
you got to figure out how each one ticks,
Yes.
and it takes a while to figure that out.
It does. Yeah.
That's good job.
It's a big challenge, but it's also, I mean, it's what we do for. So.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's a great question. I appreciate it.
No, that's why we're here.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Sure. So on the next part, and I think an important thing about like this whole exercise was that common knowledge that you begin. I'll be real honest, I've been secondary for a long time, and so elementary 3 through 5, I'm like, yeah, that's close enough. Middle school, I got it. When we started talking pre-K to 2, is like, now what do you do? What is that called again? And so it was valuable learning and great conversations. And beyond that, the most important part is that we're learning together. And you will see here some, not even discrepancies, but things that make you go, And kind of like you were just talking about changing the stuff. Well, if you look at how we design the data and what we look at pre-K2, there's not a lot of help looking at, 3rd grade. And so we'll talk about that really, well, not really quickly, but here. This is our current 5th grade. This is their data from pre-K on. So we went back, tracked all of the data, and what you can see for them is when they were in pre-K, their reading proficiency level was at 75.3, and their math proficiency was at 79%. So, we don't have A's, but 70 is not a problem. When you look next, and what I want to highlight here is when you look at pre-K, we've got reading and math there. When you go to the Texas KIA, this is how the information is reported back to you, or how it's reported by the state. The top part there, when you look at all kindergartners, is we were at 71.4% were ready for kinder. However, this will tell you how much attendance matters. If you'll see that second group there attended Texas Public Pre-K for 80 or more days the previous year, we jump up to 87.7% were kinder ready. So it's super important that we get our kids to pre-K because there's a large, 16-point jump there on their preparedness for kindergarten. Their first grade year was COVID. And then, of course, ever since COVID, we've been asking how has that affected us. And so we added that looking in here in their second grade year. This is how it's reported to us. And first and second, they only look at literacy. There's not a math component to the TPRI. And so for our current 5th graders, while they were in the second grade, they were 50-50. 50% of them were still developing and 50% were at developing. So then we track it to 3rd grade. And then you see that the data there is also interesting. 3rd grade, 42% were proficient in reading and only 27% proficient in math. And then the next year, there's big drops and a okay gain. So 42% to 25% when they were in 4th grade as far as their reading proficiency. And then math proficiency went from 25 to 32%. So the conversations we've been having, even just this week with our end of year summatives, especially with our teachers that have 5th grade, is what does that data actually tell us? And so some of our goals are based on a year's worth of growth. But what we have to look at is, like for reading for that grade level, only 25% of them came in. This is grade level. This is not approaches. This is those that were met grade level standards. So this 5th grade class came in and only 25% of them came in on the 4th grade level. So to expect them to get a year's worth of growth, they're still behind. And so we've got to look at closing those gaps and continuing to grow. Some important conversations I think that came up, I actually had the opportunity to sit with the pre-K team and talk to them and learn about the Circle program. And they talked about specifically what those tests, how they run, like you guys were asking. We were talking about rhyming or alliteration, things that they weren't doing as well at. They did really well with letter naming and numbers. They literally track that every 3 weeks. So those numbers look really good. But in alliteration and onset rhyme, it's not something that they've done. So we asked, okay, well, when do you do that in the curriculum? They're just now getting to it. And so they did beginning of year, middle of year. They were literally doing their end of year testing last week when we had this discussion, and they were only then getting to one of the contents that's being tested and that we're reporting to the state. So when we have those conversations, we can now say, well, then we might want to do alliteration a little bit earlier if we're going to be submitting that information. And same thing goes with any of the curriculum discussions that we have when we're able to look at that data is where can we circle that back in? And then it's just good common learning for all of us to see, for me, that we looked at pre-K reading and math. We don't look at math again until 3rd grade. So we have to figure out between Mr. Tipton and I, well, how can we communicate where we're at in math so when they do come to North, we're better prepared to, from the beginning, serve them better in math. So, lastly, the last slide here, like I said, we have had the discussion about the COVID effect, or what has COVID done. And this chart just shows you over approaches, meets, and masters, and it took this all the way back to 2015-16. And there are some good things here and also some things that that show us that we've still got work to do. When you look at meets, you will notice that back in 2015-16, our scores were actually lower than they were the year after COVID. So the good news is we've already recovered from COVID, and now we're just continuing to move up from there. So just continuing to work together and learn together, and it's an exciting time to be here. So do you guys have any questions?
It's a lot, but it's good stuff.
It is good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
So sorry.
No, please. You're good.
When you see, like, on that 25%, that slide that you showed, so they come in, and how do you close that gap?
Well,
I know that's like a...
Well,
if we can,
before you talk, and I'm going to let Bauman chime in after Christy too. One of the problems is that Christy said it exactly right. We've talked about it so many times. We've told our kids approaches is great.
Right.
That is an effect of that, because all of our kids think as long as I get approaches, I'm good. Well, approaches is not on grade level. Meets is.
Right.
And to me, that mentality change that we're working on is going to make a huge difference, because we're no longer going to be striving for that. We're going to be striving for this. Yeah. So go ahead, Christy.
Well, really, it's the total approach from the curriculum part of it. And so, of course, Ms. Ball will be able to speak to that more. But it starts at the beginning. We look at data, and we use that when we plan throughout. So as soon as we get that data, and not just STAR, we have map data, we have our mid-module. Every assessment we take, we're using that to then say, what can we tweak, what can we do better, student by student, pulling small groups in the win time. They can also assign different TEKs whenever they're doing some of their computer programs. So it's just an all-hands approach. And we're closing gaps. I had a teacher today who has had a phenomenal year, but was not happy with their map data. And straight said, gosh, I just feel like a failure. And I was like, absolutely not. Let's look at what it really tells you, not just what one map test tells us. And so we just started talking about failing forward. And like, this is just a snapshot. This is where we are now. Here's all the good things we've done. And okay, let's go. Like, what's next? And so that's how we're using that to close those gaps. And it's the same as the behavior piece. It's student by student.
Teacher by teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bauman, you got anything you want to add on to that?
Well, one of the things, and we talked about this through the year last year, one of the problems has been what our teachers have done from grade level to grade level, classroom to classroom, has not been consistent. It's kind of been do what you want to over here, what you want to over here. So one of the first things we've started on this year is really streamlining and being intentional about what we're doing. And so then being able to have those conversations. When they were going through this, I think the biggest thing for me, and I mean, y'all know I've spent forever at South, the things that we started noticing at South that we need to change and do differently, the data we haven't looked at it the right way in South in a long time. The math that the state doesn't ask us to do, we do it sometimes, but not consistently enough to really track it. So it's getting everybody to get on the same page. South sometimes gets put off to the side. You know, you're not STAR tested, so we don't worry about it as much. And we're coming back to fix that so that it all aligns through. But getting that alignment and the strategic looking at and RTI pieces that we're putting in place. It's not going to be an overnight fix, but we're on our way.
Who's the one that either gives them the support or stays on top of?
All of us. All of us. I mean, first off, that was what we started last year. Was there, as Bauman said, there was no guidance as to what you did when you did it. That's all gone. Like there's guidance galore, right? But other than that, it is constant. It is them in their classrooms. It is the teachers holding themselves accountable. It is me in the classrooms, Bauman in the
The
classrooms.
CICs, by going to content-based versus campus-based, has been huge. Like you just take math, for instance, with our new math program. You have Annalie that works with our math K to 5. She knows the program. She knows the teachers. She knows how it goes through. And so she's got that focus that's helping with that. Bailey does more of the ELAR side, and then we have Katrina coming in with science. It's allowing them to have more of a point of contact in that area for the support. So they'll go in, they'll model teach, they'll look at the data with them, help them plan from it. And that, I think, has been a huge thing that's been different this year than what we were doing for the past couple of years.
Well, thank y'all so much for getting our kids on track.
I thought it was a really good
That is-
presentation.
that is-
I thought it was a really good
thank you.
presentation.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Keep up the good. Yes, we're doing.
So you kind of got claps. Is it, where are we at? Hold on, I'm going to talk before you, Dr. No, I got something to say about you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nothing. Yeah, right. We'll finish the.
Go ahead and do this. Okay. Well, I want to introduce Dr. Nelson, and he's not going to talk about this. He's actually going to talk about everything he's on the agenda to talk about. But I did want to congratulate him formally in front of the Board of Education, in front of the audience, and Ms. Mary Elizabeth, the release press reporter. But Dr. Nelson, last Tuesday, has it been about a week?
Yeah.
It was about a 2.5 to 3 week process, but he got a call late. I didn't think he got it, because I thought he'd text me if he did. And I woke up the next morning. I woke up the next morning and looked at the phone. And I was like, I texted him. I don't remember what I said. Hey, I'm sorry. Maybe next time. And he's like, no, I got it. I just forgot to tell her.
I sent him a text, and I thought I hit send, but it was late at night.
He was partying too much.
Yes, he was.
How many had you had to drink?
0. Honest.
But I would like to formally congratulate you, man. It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal for Lamisa. It's a huge deal for you. We're just really proud of you. So,
Don't do it, Dr. Nelson.
All right, Board President, Board members, Mr. Ritchie, those on the DS, thank y'all so much for allowing us to have these presentations tonight. Very important as we move forward with the work that the district is doing under Mr. Ritchie's leadership. As you can see, I have 4 items. I'm sure you've had time to examine them. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on any of them, but I will entertain questions. The first one relates to the waivers that I asked you guys about in that list of those eligible for a waiver. The process is, first, you have to vote to approve it. Then we can apply for them to have the waivers, which will give them certification. Well, actually give them a waiver of their certification for 2 years as they continue to work on it. I will tell you, of those on the list, More than half of them are just a few months from being fully certified. They have to finish the summer project, but it's looking good for their progress. So do you guys have any questions about that waiver process that you would approve later, hopefully, in the list? Okay. All right. The second item is, it relates to, last year you guys passed a policy for us, DCE Local. And DCE Local allows you to designate positions that qualify for what we call a non-certified professional contract. An example of that is our PEAMS coordinator or our social media director. Those kind of positions are professional, but they don't require state certification. Unless you add their position to this list and pass this list, they can't have a contract. They can only have a letter of reasonable assurance. And that contract makes people feel more comfortable, so it's just the normal practice to allow them to have that. This year, you'll see 3 things that have been adjusted. They're in red on your list. Number 4, number 5, and number 12, they were all changed in the titles. They were on the list last year, but the titles changed, and I wanted to exactly match what's in PEAMS for them. So if there was ever a question, is this the position that the board approved, it would directly match PEAMS in this list. So once you approve this, then we will again issue non-certified professional contracts to these employees that fit these positions. Any questions about any of that? Great. The third item is for our weapons detection system, and I'm not going to talk much about it. As you guys know who come to safety meetings, we don't want everybody knowing what we're doing for safety, the layers of safety that we're building. But this particular recommendation is for metal detectors, and we're okay with people knowing because they're going to see them in the community. If you approve it, they'll be at our schools. We'll use them for games. Mr. Ritchie has a great plan for that. Football, basketball, anything like that. They'll pop up sometimes. They weren't expected, to make sure that everybody passing through is safe. So I really believe in this. Mr. Ritchie really believes in it.
I'm excited about it.
The committee met about them twice, and we looked at different companies, different options, and this company matched our needs, and amazingly, it was the best price. The price of this particular set of detectors for purchasing them was more than half less than leasing them from any other company. One company was like $160,000 a year, and you had to pay for them every year. Another company was like $120,000 or $30,000, and you had to pay for them every year, so you never owned them. This way we own them. Now some would say, well, when you lease them, at least if they break down, they will replace them. Not always true, but these have a lifespan of 7 to 8 years plus. So these will be around for a long time. So what we're asking is that you approve the purchase of these items utilizing the new grant that we just applied for. We've completed the application today. That $150,000 plus monies left over from the last grant will be used for this purchase, plus some other security issues that we've identified for our campuses, including locks and things like that. Any questions about this? All right. And the fourth item is the one that we have to do every year. If you approve the other item, so you have to approve the other one first, the one related to the waivers and the one related to the list. Once you approve those items, if you do, then we ask that you approve this list. And as you can see, it's the list of every employee by campus with an administrative sheet first, and then each campus showing who is getting what type of contract. And as you will see, an employee will either get a probationary contract, and it could be a probationary 1, 2, 3, or they get a term contract. The only other thing you'll see is a dual contract that's probationary, or a dual contract that is term, and that is for our coaches. A coach gets a contract that says you're going to coach and you're going to teach. And the reason for that is, if you don't give a dual contract and someone says, I don't want to coach anymore, then legally they can stay in their teaching position. And guess what? You can't hire anybody new to coach. So the TASB recommends employing a dual contract, so that if they say, I don't want to coach anymore, okay, we're sorry. We wish you would. What can we do to help? But in the end, if they don't want to coach anymore, or we don't want them to coach anymore, they resign their position, or we terminate it, and we hire a new person to teach and coach. So did you guys have any questions about anything related to this agenda item? Right. I guess we'll come up later for the vote. Thank you.
Yes, we will. Want to keep on rolling or you want to go?
Do you guys have everything you need? Okay. Yes.
We're going to come back to the reading of the documented board election hours. Can we just read them out?
Yes, ma'am. I say just rattle them off.
Rebecca Gonzalez, 11 hours. April Martinez, 6 hours. Cindy Martinez, 8.25 hours. Ernest Ojeda, 9.25 hours. Kevin Telchik, 9 hours. Melissa Cáceres, 2.75 hours. Ron Mann, 8.25 hours.
Perfect. Thank you. Moving back to me, Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Okay. Quite a few things. And I'm going to go as quick as I can because there's one thing I'm going to slow down purposely on. Enrollment numbers you can see, and that is good and bad, and it kind of talks with what Tipton and Christy were looking at. Sometimes you see things that alarm you, and that alarmed me, even though it's not a huge alarm. But going down 6 people in a month, when you're talking about 1,519, it's not a big deal, but as I always say, you don't want the trend to ever go that way. We've been trending the other way for a good while. So you ask, what could it be about? It could be multiple things. One thing we talked about at our principals meeting is that sometimes we have families that have either a family member or they reside in Mexico, and it seems like in the spring break time, some of them go back, and when they go back, they unenroll their kids. That way the attendance does not stack up on them, and then when they come back, they enroll them, and then sometimes they don't always come back for a while. That was an example of this. That's not saying that's all 6 of them, but we'll keep tracking it, and I've already got calls into the secretaries, and I'm going to go by tomorrow from the places these students left from and just look at individual cases to see why did they go, and if they are still in La Mesa somewhere, let's go find them and bring them back. Okay, so that's where we're at. We're still better than, again, a year ago, we were right around 1,480. We're still way up over that. I just don't want to start that trend. I don't want to start going the other direction. Enrollment questions. Okay, so this one is on, and I may have Burnett chime in here. It's on your action items here in a little bit. Approving another election judge, and I put the legitimate reason there. One had to withdraw because of sickness, and Burnett, what basically she told me, and I think it's a great idea, is you don't ever want to get close to the board election and not have enough judges because somebody gets sick or can't be here. Burnett, do you want to chime in on that?
Yes, sir, that's correct. And then I did meet with the election judges prior to the election, and they also said a 4th person is a lot better. Sometimes 2 can take voters, and 1 calls out the voting numbers, writes down the addresses, their names, they look through the book, they look their district where they're from. The other 2 can be handling other situations, So they wanted a 4th one. I tried calling previous other election judges. They were not available or had other things that were going on. Mr. Ricci said, yeah, just go ahead and just put it on the board, on the agenda, and let's go ahead and get her. Because I didn't want you to think, every month we're approving somebody, and I wanted y'all to know why. That's what happened.
Y'all okay with that question?
And I'm good, and I think 4 is good.
We just 100%. We just want to be a good, clean, fair election.
Yes.
I trust Burnett totally on all that stuff. So thank you. Star update. Your kids have been taking. I was at the high school today, and it's a tough time for kids because the state doesn't just think they just don't understand that kids don't just love doing this to the extent that they love having them do it. And I remember looking in there, and the first day they're kind of nervous, second day they're still kind of nervous and excited. By the 4th test, they're just, it's tough to get them up and going. But providing that little space and time, what the state does is they provide you a window, and they tell you days you cannot test on, and then you just do the best you can to. We always think about our kids. And I always put myself in a kid's view. All right, if I'm in 4th grade, is it better for me to test back-to-back days? Is it better for me to test and take a day off? And we really try to do what we can do best for our kids. But it has gone really well. I do feel like kids are taking their time. There's no way you can tell how they do. It's literally illegal to look over their shoulder and see how they're doing. But I mean, you want to chime in on that? You've been with me campus to campus. You've been on campus to campus. I do feel like the process has gone really
The
smooth.
process has gone very smooth. I think we did a good job of aligning all the campuses that have it going on. We also staggered English 1 and English 2 and middle school didn't test on the same days that high school and North did, just to, if our technology people had to go back to back, place to place. The state did have some kinks in some of the accommodations, and so they would be doing stuff. But Bailey, the testing coordinator, has done a great job. We've worked with the service center. All of the testing from the logistics side has gone very smoothly.
Y'all have any comments? Y'all been on the front lines with it too?
Right, I just know our campus coordinator has done a fantastic job being organized, ready to go. That's Ms. Berger, by the way. But just super impressed. It's been super smooth.
And we talked about it before. It used to just be, again, like everything. Every campus just do whatever you want. And I always credit Miranda Watson. She helped me get a good system back when I was a principal, and we just using that system across the district. Now, if somebody's sick, one of our other people can walk in from another campus and know exactly what we're doing. And it does. It has worked really, really well. So we're almost done. Next week, guys, I got math and then some makeup tests, and that's it. And we'll wait for the results. They moved the window up this year, which hopefully means we'll get the results quicker. Guys, sometimes we get those results on graduation day, and there are some kids waiting to see if they pass, and we have had to have conversations on graduation day with families letting them know their kids can't walk. And those are not fun. So with it being early, I'm hoping the results come early. So that any of those conversations, hopefully we don't have any, but hopefully we can get them done. Questions on that?
On testing days, for those that are testing, do we have any snacks for them?
100%. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We provide.
We hook up everybody, kids, teachers.
I eat more too during STAR testing than I do all year because there's food everywhere you go. Yes, but the kids are definitely taken care of.
Appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Funny story. My son, we don't let them bring their own. We provide them. In my son's school, they can bring whatever they want. And he told me that mid-test, his best friend was unwrapping an entire McDonald's sausage biscuit the other day. And complained it was cold, and his teacher went and warmed it up for him during STAR test. We don't do that. But I thought that was an interesting story. We've talked a lot about this, and I told Ron, and guys, I apologize profusely for it. We talked about raising the meal money, and we did it informally, so it was never totally in writing. And Ron, do you want to touch on it? In May, you're going to vote to get it done. What I am going to propose in May is we did go up on the base, right, to 13, I think is what it was. Not everybody spent that. Athletics spent most of the year underneath it. But where we got into a bind is on district and beyond, and y'all already know all this, is the meal money was still not increased to where it was. We want to be fiscally responsible. And we thought the city rate, because what a city rate is explain it real quick to them, Ron.
It's the rate that's set across the United States through the GSA that establishes rates by city, by county, so that if you travel to Corpus, and the price will be high. Midland area, that's probably the highest. Dallas, but when you go to smaller communities like Lubbock, the prices are adjusted. And the rates are paid lesser for those. So it's done across the country. It's a great way to do it because it's fair-minded about where you're going, in terms of rooms, food, all that is a consideration. So to us, that's just...
I've done it at other campuses, and he said it right. And guys, I apologize to every one of y'all because I feel like I dropped the ball on this because it was something that y'all asked of me early. But like he said, if you're going to Corpus, you're going to get more money than you're going to Lubbock, but either way, you're going to get more money than what you normally get. And so if y'all are okay with that, I would like to put that on May, make it in concrete, and then we won't ever have that problem again. Fair enough? Doesn't help the past, helps the future. And y'all have my apology. Any questions on that? I just want to hit on that because we've had several meetings on this, and it's just such a big picture thing that it's really hard for some of us to wrap our heads around it. But at the end of the day, this is the gist of it. Y'all heard Matt Hogg talk about how many certifications he was going to hand out this year. That's what this is.
Amazing.
Right? That's what this is. This is, and Mr. Carrera and I have been sitting with Ms. Baker, and we have had every CTE person. We're not done. We've done about half. Next Wednesday we have the rest. Because it's just not had an end goal. these contests were kind of an end goal, but the contests are not going to help us with accountability, and the contests are not going to help us with funding. I love it. We're going to continue because, man, you talk about being proud of kids. But we want to be able to do that and still reap the benefits that CTE programs were meant for schools to reap. And so welding has had a certification. 2 years ago, we certified 13 kids. And what did he say? 50. And
75.
Our goal, next year he's going to have 105 kids in welding. Our goal is to have 105 kids get certified because that's what those programs are for. And we met with our education person today, and we're working towards a specific TEA. TEA's got a list of hundreds of certifications that you can get your kids to work for. And if they get those, the school helps because of accountability, the district benefits because of funding, and the kid benefits because they have that. That's what that is. Like Ms. Napper, cosmetology. She mentioned Gino. Do y'all know Gino? Mm-hmm. The one he said never been on a school trip? Mm-hmm. Gino wants to be a barber. Well, right now, we can't give him that certification, but we're going to send Ms. Napper this summer, so next year she can. Gino Marino, if he stays with her, will walk out of Lamesa High School certified to go be a barber. And that's amazing. And so that's what that is, and that's where we're going with that. And Abbott is a program that kind of helps kids be better students, but it's all tied to that. The first cohort, I wanted y'all to know, and y'all have heard this, TA makes you start with a cohort, and we have to plan for a year. So the first cohort is currently in 7th grade, right? But that doesn't mean, and Ms. Caceres, and I talk about Ms. Caceres and Ms. Gonzalez, they've got older kids, right? And I don't want them to be forgotten. And so, yes, we're starting with these 7th graders, but we're going to find a way for it all to bleed over. So if you're a freshman right now, sophomore right now, you'll still benefit from it. But on the flip side, junior, with Jake being a senior, on the flip side, if you're a 3rd, 4th, 5th grader, by the time you get there, we'll have it in place, rocking and rolling, and all of our kids in Lamesa will benefit greatly from it. And then I put Jake Grant. We're in the middle of hoping we get this. It's our 2nd grant to apply for. We got the first one. This one was way more complicated, guys. I was trying to write it, and I pulled it up, and it's $350,000, and I immediately I am not messing this up. So I've recruited some help, but it's $350,000 for a CTE program. The grant is due next week. I think we've almost got it all done. So if we get that, that's another way we're going to start balancing our funding and bringing in from places that we have not been exploring in the past. And then grants in general, we're just doing a lot better job right now of going and searching for them and applying for them. Questions on any of that? Big picture stuff. Safety audit. I want to brag on Christy, but then all of them. TA has audited all of our campuses now this year. And Dr. Nelson, because he and the safety committee, everybody chipped in on this. They used to do one all year. They would come, they'd go to one campus and be done. This year they came to all 4 of them. 4 different months, 4 different campuses. Hers was the last one. Yeah, they did her twice. Christy was 2 weeks ago. And guys, this is what it looks like, 100% for us. That is not what other schools look like. I sat behind some people the other day from Lubbock ISD, and I could see their screen, and that was about at 58%, right? That's a huge deal. That's a huge deal right there. So good job. Congratulations to all of you. Keeping them kids safe. All right.
Do you post stuff like that on the web also?
We're about to post. I'm about to talk about that in a minute, Ernest, because I'm about to get on my soapbox.
Yeah, you can take a picture of that.
Take a picture of that.
Let her take a picture.
Let her take a picture of that. Go back.
Let your screen back
Let her take a picture.
Flip it back. She likes taking pictures, so she better take that one. There you go.
Calendar.
Take a picture.
I'm gonna go back to it. Oh, you want?
She's ready.
Yeah. There you go. Okay.
Don't mess it up.
Zoom in on that 100%. Guys, it's changed, and it's the same calendar, but we increased the school day next year because I'm playing with some stuff, trying to get our teachers a little more time. So, and even if I just did 5 minutes per day per campus, that's so small, but it adds up. And so the minutes went from 80,880 to 81,695. That's the only difference. Other than that, the calendar's the same as you've seen. It is on the action. As soon as we can get it approved, I can kind of start working on the maintenance calendars, the transportation calendars, the bus. The one thing I'm going to ask, and here, y'all can have enough of you guys, because I know y'all have seen it 100 times. Today, one thing may have changed, but it won't be anything you haven't. It is, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. If you look at the first week of school, I may play around with that because I have a convocation speaker. I've got one for you, but you got to wait. I've got a convocation speaker that I really have been trying to get, and I found out today they can come, but they cannot come until August 16th, okay? So what I'm thinking about doing, and I'm not saying I will, I may start school on Tuesday instead of Wednesday, and go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday instead of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then come back and have convocation Friday, August 16th. We'll still have a pep rally and get everybody going, but you'll understand why when you hear it, because he's better than anybody that we've had come talk to our people before. So that's not official. If I do that, I'll let y'all know as soon as I will, because today I heard back in Iowa, there's some school in Iowa that we're fighting with to try to get him here. Y'all have any calendar questions? All right. Legislative update, guys. We had one today, but it's not a lot because there's no sessions happening. But this is what they talked about to us today. Instructional materials, they review them every year. Y'all always hear Ms. Baumann say commissioner-approved materials. That's what that is. They said there's 179. This year they're looking, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're looking at all math, and I believe pre-K through 5 reading. Is that what? Yeah. Or ELAR?
Yes. And it's weird because they should have only been doing math, but they're going back to look at reading again because they're putting kind of some addendums to the TEKS with reading, making sure all those still follow.
So, no, a school does not have to use the commissioner-approved materials. I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you do, there's funding within that, and that funding hasn't been released, but because we use materials approved by the commissioner, we'll get some additional funding because of that, and I think they said the funding is going to be released in December. CCMR, all they did today was remind us how much more that was going to have an effect on accountability moving forward, which is kind of why we're moving the direction we're moving to make sure we put more of the emphasis on that. SAFE grant, y'all have heard a lot about that. That's where the money has come from for all of our safety stuff. And then today they just wanted to talk about special education because there's a huge shortage of diagnosticians and certified special education teachers. And I guess they just wanted to tell us why. We know why, but it's pretty eye-opening, like the stuff y'all saw earlier. That is an eye-opening stat that since 2015, there's been a 72% increase in students served in special education. I thought that next one was just as big. Initial evaluations have gone up over 100,000 per year since 2016. So then there's no wonder. And we're still blessed. I mean, you want to talk about that. We still have diagnosticians, and not every district does. And not every district has sped teachers for every campus. And some sped teachers in some districts have caseloads of hundreds of kids, and we're still lucky right now.
We're very lucky. I was at a meeting last week where they were just talking, like, trying to figure out what to do because the state does not have diagnosticians, and so they're putting out grants for people to go back to school to do it. But I was talking to one of the schools, and they're like, we have one diagnostician for 200 kids. And they're like, she's about to quit, and we're going to have 0, and we don't know what to do. There's a school outside of, I'm trying to remember where it was, like 100 miles from here. There's no special ed teacher. So they have to do compensatory services in the summer. So all summer, those kids have to come to school just because to get sped services because they're not able to get it during that year. So they'll contract with a teacher to come in the summer and make those kids come in the summer to do it. So we're still very blessed. We still are struggling with getting special ed teachers, but we have one per campus, and we're happy to have it. Because out of Denver City told me they're looking at having one teacher that does all the paperwork. Because to do paperwork, you have to be certified, and so then having TAs to do the classes because they don't have anyone. And
it's a mess. It's crazy.
We've been meeting on ways to come up with things. They're trying to give more grants to get people in school, but they've waited too long. They put in all this dyslexia stuff where now it falls under special ed, so our numbers tripled. And they didn't give us any funding for teachers or think about how that would play into it all within a year. So the state's kind of trying to like.
Yeah, they tell you that they told us what the problem is, but they still don't give you any way to fix it.
Well, they did tell us on that deal. It was funny because on our webinar it was TA, and he says it's this, and he gives us the numbers, and he's like, "Yeah, sorry," and everybody's kind of sitting there, and we thought he was going to tell us something. He's like, "Yeah, sorry, I don't know what y'all are going to do." Click, and just kept going, and we were all sitting there like, okay.
But we're in good shape right now, and we just kind of going to talk about it in a minute. Y'all talked about the forum last night. To me, we got to keep making this the place that teachers want to come to work, and they want to come to work here because of the support that they get, and I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. Senior activities, guys. I've got a handout. You may want to take a picture with your phone. That way you don't lose it, because this is about to be banquet season. And Ernest, you came prepared today, sir. I have you this too, Marilyn. But all I did was put the banquet stuff and graduation stuff. There's other things, and I can give Mary Elizabeth the full-blown one, but these are the ones that if I was to say, hey, these are the greatest hits, and try to be at some of these things, that this would be them. And if any dates or times change, I'll let you know. The first one is next, April 24th, Tuesday, I think. And that would be National Honor Society happening. Is that Wednesday? Okay, so next Wednesday. And it'll start happening pretty quick, guys. And then there'll be something every night, and you won't have to cook for a really long time, because it'll be eaten. We're going to do a meet and greet for Coach Ramos on Wednesday, April 24th at 6 p.m. at the LHS cafeteria. I just think it's important. Ernest, you asked a while ago, do we put that thing in the paper? And I talked to all of my staff the other day about, guys, we got to start telling our own story, because I feel like we've just let other people tell it for so long. And part of it is making sure we open up our doors and our people to the community. And so this is a part of that. And there's no program. It's literally, we're going to feed people hot dogs and hamburgers. Just come meet. Just come be around him. We'll be there. Come at 6. I don't know when it's going to end. It's going to end when there's nobody else to meet him. But I think it's important. He's excited. His kid misses his girlfriend in Anna. But I've told him, you're going to get over it. You'll be fine. Just go throw the football, and we'll be all good. But other than that, it's been a good success for him to be here. So if you can make that, I don't think I had that on that sheet of paper. Job fairs, I wanted to brag on these guys. Tipton, I remember the first job fair, which was when, Frankie? He didn't want to talk to anybody. He was shy. And he just big-eyed and kind of shell-shocked. By the last one, we would pass him off. He would take them behind. He would put them through an interview. And I think you hired 3 people, right? 3 or 4 people from the last job fair. Certified teachers. So good job. Good job. But they all did great. Jasper went to them. I think you went to one. You went to Odessa, correct? Mr. Carrera. And then Frankie guys, he doesn't get enough credit for all the stuff that he puts together and does. But we had a lot of success. We had one here today. Josh from the job fair, one of the ones I told y'all would have come home with us. We don't have a job for him yet, but he was here today just to see if we will. And I told him, hang on, we'll find a way to get you.
Have we heard anything on the proposal of the foreign exchange teachers? Have we got their assignments yet, or
we've hired 5 of them.
Okay.
4 for high school and 1 either from middle school or north.
Our goal every year is 0 facilitators, all teachers. And right now I feel like we're going to be closer than that than we've been in a really long time. I don't know that we'll reach it. That's our goal.
Where are they going to be located at?
4 in high school.
4 in high school.
And
1 at either north or middle school, depending on their needs.
And the 2 that have to go back, when is their date they have to go back?
They'll finish the year, and then I think they have to stay gone for 2 years.
They have to stay back in home country for 2 years before they can reapply and come back.
And I love them both. I got to have Blanca Flor when I was at South, but Bargallo is one of my favorite people on the planet Earth. I hope she comes back.
Can I add one thing on the facilitators?
Sure.
So you guys know, every facilitator has to have what we call a certification conversation. I can't remember the name of it, but they have a certification conversation with us where we document where they are, what they need to do to get certified, the benefits of being certified, and all of that. And then they also learn of any unintended consequences if they don't get certified. And we kind of go through that. And unintended consequences are if we find a certified teacher, we're going to have to hire a certified teacher. So it's no job security.
No job security is not necessarily fair, because if they're good employees, they'll have a job. It just will not necessarily
that
be the
position.
Facilitator.
Right.
Because we always want a certified teacher when we get a certified teacher.
And he's better at clarifying that than I am. But we talk about the increase that they get paid. We talk about the rewards more than we talk about the possible negative sides of it. But we look at what program they're in, when they're going to finish, when they're going to test. We have tutoring available that we offer to them, where they can get tutoring from 240 Tutoring for free. The district's already paid for it. So we're really doing a lot to get those who are in those roles who aren't certified. So we're not resting on our laurels with the fact that we have too many what we call degree facilitators, and numbers going down each day. We're getting more certified.
And we do feel like we have too many uncertified teachers. If we have any uncertified teachers, we have too many uncertified teachers. Now, we do live in the world where it's not like it used to be. All schools now are hiring uncertified teachers, but that is not where we want to be. And I think that we have. These conversations have helped, and they don't always end the way we want them to end, because when people have not had any expectations on them for 3 years, sometimes they hear it, but it's never been enforced, so why would it be enforced now? And not all of them did the part that they needed to do. It doesn't mean they don't have a job in Lamesa. It just might mean they won't be in that same position, because we need them to want to go get certified. And it kind of leads me into that deal. And this is the last thing I got, and I'm going to be as quick as I can. But first off, y'all did a great job at the forum last night. But that's when I started thinking about when Mr. Boyd, and he's not here anymore, started kind of talking about we need a plan for our uncertified teachers. And I told them too many times we do. We let everybody else just assume they know what's going on in Lamesa Independent School District. And there are so many good things going on in Lamesa Independent School District. And like Dr. Nelson said, we've got a great plan. But we've never really advertised that plan to the community. And you know what? The community probably needs to know that. And, so they don't know this, but we have to put an article in the paper every month, and I'm about to hijack them all. I usually do one a year. But I don't want to pay for an ad. The ads are too expensive, so I'm just going to take them all.
We would love it.
I already write theirs anyway. But to put something in the paper every month that talks about, not the fluff, right? I do want to advertise our kids, but things that the community might want to know. Like, what is your plan? I have a kid in 5th grade. What's your plan to get those teachers certified? So that the right story is being told in Lamesa. Because, and I've said it, guys, and I'm going to show you a very short video, and bear with me because there is a reason behind it. We are at the part, and I've told you, we're at the hard change part. The easy change is done. That first year was easy, right? Everybody's happy again. Everybody's, man, we're energetic. My principals are getting in rooms. Everybody's happy. But now we're at the hard part. We're at the part where we got to change those stats that we put up there. The part where we got to fix our literacy so that by the time they go to kindergarten, they're kinder ready, but then we don't look up by the time they're 5th grade and they've dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped. Because every year that they're behind, we're screwing them further and further in their life. We got to make sure they're prepared here, and then we got to do our part as adults to keep those kids prepared. And that's not easy, and it's not fun. And a lot of times it's hard conversations and it's hard work. And we just have to embrace the work. Okay, so I'm going to show you this video. Long story. Not long story. I'll be quick. I moved into a house because a year ago today, we had that talk about property taxes. And I decided as superintendent Lamesa, I think I ought to be paying taxes like everybody else. So I found a house, moved into a house. When I was moving, I found an old VHS tape. Not that kind. From 1999 when I was an assistant track coach at Abilene High. And I'm going to show you the last bit. Now, there's a lot going to be on the screen because this is not that tape. This is a YouTube video of these kids. And you're going to have, there's going to be, the superintendent of Abilene High is going to be in a box up here. There's going to be some stuff at the bottom. But our track team, we had a young man named Jonathan Johnson, and he had a mom, but he didn't have a dad. And his mom and him didn't really jive back then. I think they do now. But there was a lot of times he spent the night at a coach's house. There was a lot of times we'd have to go find him somewhere. But he was smart, and he was talented. And before his first race of his senior year, he told me, Richie, said, I'm not going to lose a single race this year. And he ran the 800, and he ran the 400, and he ran the 4x4, right? Tracksters in the room? Yeah. The mile relay, the best race. The best race. Hardest race, but the best race. So we go all the way to Austin, and we're 5A, right? This is before 6A, so you're at the top of the top. And to this point, he hasn't. He hadn't lost a race all year. An hour before what you're going to see, he had set the oldest record in the state of Texas, and he ran a 147 in the 800. All right? But for Abilene High, for us, for our kids to win the state championship, he had to win this race. All right? And it's the fourth leg of the mile relay. And yes, there is a reason. I'm not just bragging on Jonathan Johnson. I'm going to show you. I can't see. What's that at?
When he broke the 800.
Let me go a little further. Okay.
100-meter relay for the Eagles made up at least a 30-yard deficit.
Okay, for Abilene High to win the state championship, he has to beat that guy right there, and he is right here. Jeez. All right? And he is the last leg on the 4x4. And this superintendent thinks just like me because he's going to talk. This is at graduation, and I was lucky to be there. He is showing this at graduation, and he's talking about the qualities it took in that young man to be able to do what he does. And these are the same qualities that we've got to make sure that we instill in our teachers and our kids
and won the race in a
and all of us.
Photo finish reminiscent of Johnny Lamb Jones' historic win in the mile relay a couple decades earlier. The dramatic finish gave Abilene High the Class 5A state team championship.
This class is the tenacity that team had. But not only does that team have it, this whole class has it. Now you watch as Jonathan takes this and wins the state championship for Abilene High.
All right, I showed you that for two reasons, and I got to pause in a specific place.
Johnson
right
went to Texas
there. Because, guys, that's... I'm and they know, man, I've been frustrated for the last 3 weeks because I feel like we get to this point in Lamesa and everybody sees things going the right way, and there's going to be people that start trying to throw bombs in there when they don't want to see Lamesa succeed. And it ain't going to happen this time, but it's got to be all of us telling the right story at the right time to the right people. Because if the people in this room don't support Lamesa Independent School District, who's gonna? So we got to make sure we tell the right story. And I can promise you, man, that was not easy for him to do. He had to work hard. He had to sweat. He had to bleed, but he did it. And he was successful. And I keep getting told that our kids are this and our kids are that. Let me tell you about these kids. Jonathan, I already told you about, right? Single parent, very smart, not much home life. Olympian, Texas Tech, Track Hall of Fame, currently in DFW, owns his own business. But it don't work out for everybody. Robert Spells, the only one up there that had both parents. He's in jail got caught, 32 grams of marijuana in his car. He's in prison. Been in prison since 2015. All right? Sean Harris, had dad, no mom, Texas Tech Hall of Fame, pharmacist. All right? Last one. This is the best one for me. Tyree Gales, no mom or dad, all right? Grandparents, and I didn't know what happened to him. So I Googled him today and found out he's coaching at LCU and currently recruiting Fasha and Reagan. And had trouble getting a hold of Reagan, had Fasha, so I have put him in touch with Reagan, so maybe they'll go run LCU. So I say that to say Guys, our kids can do anything, but it ain't gonna be easy. And we got to trust, and that's the one thing, and I think it was Bauman that said it, we feel like our community still doesn't quite trust us, right? And man, we're trying and we're trying and we're trying. We just got to keep knocking down that door. And sometimes we do things that are dumb because we're adults and we're human, but we apologize for them and we own them and we move on. But guys, we got to tell the right story. We got to tell the right story. You got to tell the right story about Lamesa Independent School District. You got me? All right. Off my soapbox, guys. Do y'all have anything else for me? Tell the right story.
Nothing else, that's it? One action items. First one is the deliberation and possible action to approve Carmen Ramirez as an election judge for May 4th, 2024 election.
Make a motion to approve as presented. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next is deliberation and possible action to approve request for additional state aid for ad valorem tax credit for the Mesquite Creek Wind Project.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next is deliberation and possible action to approve school calendar for 2024-2025.
Make a motion to approve the school calendar.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Fourth, deliberation and
Madam
possible.
President,
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that item, we have to table. The RFP has not come back from the Texas Department of Agriculture. They're having issues with some of their software.
Thank you, Ron.
Should I go ahead and mention this? Have somebody?
Yes,
get one?
ma'am. I think so.
Fourth is deliberation and possible action to approve RFP for food service management company.
Make a motion to table the RFP for food service management company.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next is deliberation and possible action to apply the state waivers unit of the Texas Education Agency to address the non-certification status of administrators presented on the list.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next is deliberation and possible action to approve the DCE local list of approved positions for non-certified professional contracts.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next is deliberation and possible action to approve the purchase of the open gate weapons detection system proposal of $369,000 to increase safety and security for all Lamesa ISD campuses.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 7-0. Last is deliberation and possible action to approve the 2024-2025 contract recommendation list for professional employees as presented.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Anybody else have any questions?
That was a lot.
There being no further business to come before the board, this meeting is adjourned.
Good job. Good job.